There we are. Mic is working. We're working. I might as well set this one up too while we're here. Okay, so let's head on out. It's kind of a shame to. AG, good to see you. I was just saying it's kind of a shame that we're going into Milton Basin without a working bow, but them's the breaks. I'm gonna grab this little birch. Or birch. Hey, Bear, good to see you as well. So let's see, we've got a few requests here from EG. Let's do. Cheers.
I'm not sure I can carry much more.
And thanks for the hydrate. And let's do our big stretch. And quiet all that storm. How did that happen? And a big walk, walk, walk. Baba walk, walk. There we go. A little chicken entertainment for you guys. You think Broken Railroad? Broken Railroad's actually a pretty good plan too, but I just feel really nervous about that trip without having without having a bow to defend myself against wolves. I mean, I guess I could do it. It's totally doable. The problem with that plan is that we left the hammer back at Spence's. So we're banking on getting our last piece of metal out of Milton Basin, which is really a long shot. I mean, the metal would come from this little patch, little like ruined building thing that you might be able to find something.
Damn it! I'm so hungry.
Yeah, we already looted this, right? I don't think there's anything here that we missed. We might as well warm up our teas. Yep. No, we got everything we need. We actually forged, but I made a mistake while forging. I wasn't paying attention and I accidentally overforged. I made too many arrowheads and I forgot to make my hatchet. And I really, really like having a hatchet because it means I don't have to carry the hammer around to break up stuff. How warm are we? Not warm. It's cold, cold. Okay, so I'm going to warm up our teas. So we do know that based on our challenge here, our stay in the basin will be short, maximum of 4 days. Even if we don't have a bow, we should be able to live off of what we find and what we have with us already. It's kind of a really silly mistake to have made, but it happens. How are we doing for torches now? Better. Got plenty of time to get out of here, so let's take our time. Yeah, I haven't finished the last episode. I kind of bailed on it. I just am not that excited about it. I'll be honest. I'm just not excited. I've watched people finish up the episode, watched people start the episode. I started the episode, but I could very quickly tell it was going to be too railroady for me. I was just going to be really annoyed by it, and there were certain sequences that I felt like were not fun, and it's kind of not what you want. Okay, let's work our way back over here. You bailed on the story mode before you got to Greymother. Hey, Fox, welcome in. Welcome in, Fox, and good to see you. Let's give you a shout out here as well. Actually, I guess we'll do a shout out to Fox. And I don't know if we've done a shout out for you already.
Parker Pete started with a gun.
Oh, you were
and
mixing things
whoever
up
made
with,
that decision
Project
is
Zomboid.
silly because Parker Pete's about to Parker Pete's about to deliver some Parker Payne. That's what Parker Pete's about to do.
First non-D&D stream in months. Yeah. Okay. So here we are.
Hi.
If you are new to this channel and
running away.
unfamiliar with the type of
I
channel
know.
we
Hey,
do,
so, oh crap.
Oh, God, bear,
I am
bear,
Is that a
doing
player?
something called Roll With It, which is a
No.
rather annoying challenge I made up
Holy
a
cow.
couple years back, and
Hey, shout out, thanks for watching, man. How you
how's
doing?
it? It is.
Thank you.
It's actually
That was
pretty
great.
good. It's
That
just
was-
I made a
that was
critical
fire.
error when I was
I don't have
forging,
any. I don't have
and
any.
I
ammo. I'm gonna
accidentally
die again. God damn it.
forged too many arrowheads, and I forgot to forge my.
I need to get in
Hatchet.
and heal somewhere.
So I have a knife,
Oh, there's another one over here. Oh my God,
and I
there's
have
more.
a
There's
ton
more.
of
There's more.
arrowheads, and I don't have a hatchet. And I do not want to go through the game not being able to break down things in a
Okay.
quick fashion.
gonna
And
have to-
also,
Killed
I
a
don't
lot
want
of
to carry
our-
around the hammer because the thing is a lot
I
heavier
know,
than
but I
the,
haven't seen
hatchet.
it.
Yeah, we're doing
So I am going to gamble and hope that a short trip over here to Milton Basin, somewhere in the basin, I can find one last piece of metal, and from that I can return Forlorn Muskeg and hopefully roll a relatively short stay. So here we are in Milton Basin, which we count as a micro region or a transition zone. And we're going to roll a die. So here we roll a d4 because we're still within the first 50 days. Let's see what the number is. It is a 1. We are here for 1 day. I think we could survive that. Day 54, basin 0 of 1. We have 24 hours to spend here. Okay. The day on. Okay. So we've got priorities. We've got 24 hours here. And our number one priority is to, so we brought everything we needed with us. We are low on cloth. That's another problem, but we have one piece of cloth ready to make the handle for our hatchet. So
Die if I don't get some food soon.
Let's see, what were you working on, Fox? Incredibly low loot, 16 times zombies? Pinpoint hearing and eagle eye vision? Eye clothing loss? Wow. Sounds rough. Mr. Wolf is out there. We are not going to engage Mr. Wolf. Well, we might have to engage one wolf. An outpost in every town. Kill 1 million zombies. Wow. Look at all these guys. That works. This guy's really eager. Why is he coming at us so hard? Not carrying guts or anything. Yeah, how are your D&D sessions going? I just wrapped up, I guess what you could call the season finale or the end of campaign arc for my in-person Thursday night game. So we wrapped it up. One of our players is moving back to Vancouver from Toronto, so had to provide a worthy exit for that character. Another player is retiring their current character, and so wants an opportunity to create a new character, so this also felt like an appropriate way to do it. But yeah, so the big finale was basically the party. The last 2 sessions have been fighting. They dealt with a number of extraplanar threats, basically a coalition or a federation of alien races from the far reaches of the sort of eldritch beings from the far reaches of the known or unknown universe, who had arrived by a spacecraft orbiting the planet and had sent an advanced scouting group to infiltrate, and as they kept on referring to it, liberate the planet's inhabitants from their impoverished status of being particularly brain dead, in their opinion, and genetically deficient. And so they had been altering creatures and modifying them and then possessing them and doing other things. So anyways, the party finally deals with the big bosses on the ship, but not without accidentally causing the ship to spiral, well, basically cause malfunctions in the systems. When they tried to flee through the teleport chamber that they used to enter, it malfunctions, and they get sent off to different locations. So some of them are in the same city, some of them are outside of another city, and one of them, the person who is exiting the campaign because of a real life move, is ends up in a completely different region from everyone else. So. They're not that high level. They're level 6.
My fingers feel numb.
But they fight really well. And so, yeah, the boss battle, the 2 boss battles they had, one was with Neologi and a Githyanki Buccaneer and a creature, like I'd taken a monster and rethemed it to basically be a cyborg battle cannon. You know, so basically has like an arm that fires as a Gatling gun arm. And then the other encounter, the big boss battle at the end, was actually the Gatling, that one with the Neologi and the Master and the Yankee Buccaneer. The Buccaneer, that particular NPC, they had encountered 2 other times, and he keeps escaping, and he almost escaped. It was very satisfying for them to actually kill what was supposed to be like a relatively low-level threat, who is just consistently good at escaping. More satisfying, I think, than going like the last boss. The last boss was a Mind Flayer with an Eldritch Crawler, you know, and that was a fun encounter. But they totally killed the Mind Flayer. It was a very surprisingly fast combat, largely due to initiative rolls. Well, there was initiative rolls, and then one other thing, which is that one of the players, who was a Dwarven Ranger, had acquired earlier, a few sessions ago, a rather suspicious syringe of experimental fluid, you know, some sort of substance that the aliens had been using to run tests. The party was actually also, they had found and quote unquote rescued a one of the dwarfs who had gone missing from a merchant caravan, who they had found had been heavily modified, but still retained like an incredibly vengeful streak, but possibly had been turned into some sort of well, he was no longer fully of this world either, but he harbored some pretty strong hatreds. So he okay, what do we do here? So yeah, he what did he do? So basically, the Dwarven Ranger ended up with a syringe of experimental, unstable substance, and in the last-ditch effort to fight what seemed to be like a growing threat from the Mind Flayer, whose magic had initially been quite threatening in the first round, but then had failed because I kept fumbling, critically failing. I should have had some lair rolls going on or legendary. I should have made some legendary component to him because he was boss. But anyways, we were running late, and I didn't want to stretch out that last combat too long. I wanted it to be fun, but I didn't want it to be overwhelming. So anyways, he injects himself, and I had already told him that the syringe would cause a creature injected with it to grow either large or small. And in this particular case, I determined that it would cause the person who received the injection to grow 2 size categories. And this was a large chamber they were fighting in, so it could accommodate this sudden expansion. So the dwarf grows to size huge. Now, the Mind Flayer had launched an attack which had been somewhat successful in controlling the battlefield, and then had turned himself invisible after they had overcome, like they escaped out of the zone. So he turned himself invisible. He did an instantaneous effect, and then turned himself invisible to flee. And he flees, but because of a different effect from one of the other characters, he is moving at half speed. He is not able to move at full speed. And because of that, when the dwarf expanded to size huge, he was now on top of the Mind Flayer and crushed him. Not instantaneously killing him, but he was already... Actually, he did, because the Mind Flayer was already severely injured from a number of lucky hits earlier. And so, so it ended up, like, not almost, it was a little anticlimactic that the Mind Flayer was, like, crushed within about 3 rounds, because the dwarf turned into a size huge creature. But then the problem with that was that he was size huge, and the entrance to the room was only large enough for a large creature to get out. So he had to, like, use his adamantine sword to carve out a larger opening to get into the hallway, and then the hallway was large enough that he could squeeze through. And then he squeezed all the way down the hallway to get into the transport room. The transport room is only just barely capable of accommodating a size huge creature. So they had to teleport him first, and then teleport themselves in 2 different groups afterwards, because someone had to operate the booth as well, and then they had to figure out a solution so they could operate it and escape at the same time. And meanwhile, the ship is shutting down and malfunctioning, and so between the power surges, the coordinates are no longer stable, and they shift every round. And so they end up teleporting into different spaces. But yeah, it was pretty humorous how that all played out. Okay. So I decided, even though that player is not going to be rejoining us in the near future, might join us if we have an online session sometime. I guess we need to drop some of this stuff down. So I decided that he would be left with some lingering side effect, which is that he once a day can shift his size up or down 1 size category. So he will no longer be size huge, but he will benefit from having the ability to change his size once a day. So I think that's interesting enough. I guess we do need... Here I was thinking we'd leave, but we actually need to... We need to pull some more torches, so let's do that first. I can't believe we struck out at the building, so... So... I mean, the dwarf is actually modeled after Meshi, the dwarven traveling. So if you've ever read or watched Delicious in the Dungeon, which is an anime or a manga, it's both a manga and then also an anime, about an adventuring a group of adventurers who are too broke to buy supplies, food supplies, rations when they return to the surface, and they're desperate to get back down to find their
Pack is getting too heavy to
um,
carry.
their companion, their friend, who was eaten by a dragon, and they want to get back in time to be able to still resurrect that person. So they're in a rush. They can't afford more food supplies. They find a dwarf who's been living in the dungeon and eats the monsters, which they find appalling, and then realize it's also the solution to how to survive. So, anyways, that the dwarf in the party was modeled after that character, and does try to cook everything that they fight, which was pretty entertaining. But because of that backstory, it was only natural then that that character would find themselves. What else can we drop here? We drop this too. Yeah, only natural for that character to return to an underground region. So he landed in a land of, a desolation, a wasteland, a desert wasteland, which was the
I can barely walk with this much gear.
all that remains of a civilization that was destroyed, an ancient civilization that was completely destroyed by some sort of magical cataclysm. And all that's left is dust and ruins. And so it's actually a perfectly sensical thing for that character to find himself back exploring ruins. That's where he started. Yeah. But yeah, I had them roll on a table to determine where they ended up teleporting to. And then I shifted the locations every round. So that even if you got the same number on a different round, it wouldn't mean you got the same place. And that's how we ended up with this new problem for myself, where it looks like the party's going to reconvene on the outskirts of a city called Ostagar, which is a city of dwarves. It's like 70% dwarves. It's a port city. It's built around 250 years earlier. So for dwarves, it's relatively young. It's part of their arrival in this location, as refugees. But it's built on top of, not surprisingly, the ruins of another city. And but yeah, it's one of the locations I have not fleshed out. And so I thought they would all end up back in the big city of Sanctuary, which is the one that I've written the most about. I have the most maps for. I've run many adventures and campaigns there. It's one that's easy to work with, and it's not where we'll be. So, which is fine. It's totally fine. I love an excuse to do some more world building, but just find it funny that this campaign keeps avoiding places where I've already done all the work, and instead I have to do new work. focus on working our way up here. Okay, we really want to find a piece of metal. I guess the other place we could check is the car crash. I'll go up here and see if we find any food, though. So.
I'm not gonna be able to carry this load for much longer.
Okay. So yeah, so we have like a week or two off from the Thursday group, so at least 1 week off. So I have a week to finish drafting up what the next campaign arc is going to look like. I have some ideas. I think we'll probably there's a little bit of mystery still remaining about like how many alien or extraplanar creatures are on the planet. Or at least on their island. That may have arrived there or been dispatched to different locations in advance to scout. So they may still run into some of those creatures. But yeah, it should be fun.
Thank you.
And the good news is we have lots of firewood. Can we get out of here? Not recommended. Okay. I think the wolf is up that side, so let's go around the back.
Feel my hands.
Or maybe we even check the, we got some flares as backup plan if the winds get too gusty here. Alright. So yeah, I'm not certain. Entirely certain. I have some ideas about what I want to do next. This next little section, like from level 6 to level 10,
That didn't work.
that's when stuff gets more and more interesting for characters. And I guess more interesting for me because I can throw some real challenges their way. I think from level 4 to 6 is kind of an interesting section of character leveling. You start having more and more abilities, but you're still pretty fragile. And as a DM, you have to be pretty clever as to how to build like a fun encounter that's challenging without being impossible. And not have it devolve into like there's some pretty standard things that you could do that get done to death. I usually build my encounters all to be hard or even deadly, trusting that they'll figure out a way to survive it. And partly that's because I know that although it's recommended to have multiple encounters, like 4 or 5, even 6 encounters in a venturing day, the reality is that most players tend to be more cautious than that. And so you don't often get a chance to push them to that kind of limit. I've had stretches where I've been able to push for 4 encounters in an adventuring day where they just didn't get any breaks. But most of the time, they're smart enough to find a way to carve out some sort of way to get some sort of recovery in. Kind of wonder if we should just wait for the wind to die down.
Come on, little fire.
To warm up some teas and try to survive a little bit longer. Hey, how are we doing here? There was a viewer Let's Play one shot where you all controlled 3 different adventures in a goblin cave. First move, goblin just walks in, stepping on the trap. I will admit, I'm a huge fan of the blog and the book, The Monsters Know What They're Doing. Because I think it does a really fantastic job of getting you to think like a monster, different monsters, different things that they want to do. Makes sense for them to do tactically. Okay. So there's a lot here.
The sun is setting. It's gonna get a lot colder soon.
Still kind of gusty. Oh yeah, let's check out that truck. See if there's any metal there. This is going to be a big disappointment if there's no metal. But like car crashes are like a good place to find metal, so we're hoping. Hey, good to see you, Roller. Okay, what do we got here? Sticks.
Still feels like an empty pit.
Okay, what do we got? No metal. Nothing. Okay. That kind of sucks. Uh-oh. Yeah. For a minute there, I thought it was going to make the Aurora sound, and I was like, no. Okay, our worst case scenario. Our worst case scenario is going to be I guess what we could do, if we really are in a pinch, is we could scrap our lantern and use that. He's eating all our rabbits. No, we're not going to be around long enough to worry about it. Don't worry about it, buddy. We're not coming for your dinner.
Come on, little fire. too heavy to carry.
Okay. Oh, I know where we can get some metal scrap. We can go along the rail line. We can find the place where it goes off the tracks towards Broken Railroad and find more metal there. We're okay. Okay. As long as we have a couple days, we'll be fine. Antibiotics and that. Okay.
Okay, I'm tired.
Oh, let's see. Basin. One day, leave day 25. Okay, let's see what we got here.
I can barely walk with this much gear.
Let's get this out of our inventory. We're like 1 minute short.
I'm not going to be able to carry this load for much longer.
I think it's okay to leave these guys here. Yeah. We'll take these ones here.
All I can think about is food.
Day 25, time to exit. Hmm.
Jeez, this is cold. Oh, so cold.
Okay. We'll be out of here soon.
This pack is getting too heavy to carry.
Okay, now we have to find out how long we're going to be here. D10. 6 days. Okay, that's plenty of time. Plenty of time to hunt through the region. And find more metal. And then go and forge our hatchet. And by then we should be able to craft our bow.
I'd eat anything right about now.
Okay, we'll probably end a little bit early tonight. This is a started late tonight, and I think I'm going to try to finish early. So we'll only have 1 hour in tonight, but 3. Big gusts out there.
I can barely walk with this much gear.
Doesn't look that bad. Not great though. Okay, so yeah, we'll just wrap up here then. Okay, 6 days. No, that's what I forgot to do. Yeah. Okay, now we're saved. Yeah, we got everything updated. We wanted to update. So we're going to read. We'll read something before we wrap up for the night. What we normally we read poetry, but I gave a keynote address a few weeks back at a writing retreat, and it was on failure, and failure is part of the creative process, but it's been, I don't know, something I've thought about a lot over the last year or so, and I wanted to talk a little bit about that. And so, anyways, yeah, so we were reading our way through that. We are last stream. We read the section that talked about failure and translation, and now we're going to move into a different section. Okay. We'll start with the last paragraph that we read last time because it's a good transition point. What can we make of failure? I do not know the entirety of that answer for you or for me, but I suspect it involves questions. It involves courage. It involves writing about not only what we know, but what we don't know, and maybe even what we fear to know. It may require salvage. It might require renovation or rebuilding. Sometimes failure opens an unexpected or unwanted door, and we find ourselves embarking on a journey we did not anticipate. When I finished my PhD in 2015, I was living alone in Los Angeles, not entirely certain what was coming next. Although I won a prize and had my first book published a few years earlier, I had failed to land a critical full-time teaching position in creative writing. I had talked to an immigration lawyer and had decided to apply for a self-sponsored green card, figuring that this would help improve my odds on the market. However, I could not stay in Los Angeles, so I accepted an invitation from my aunt to move up to Portland, Oregon area, where I waited for what was supposed to be a 6 or 7 month process. Unfortunately for me, and for many others, when 2016 rolled around, U.S. immigration policies became unpredictable and much more complicated. A few months dragged out to 4 years, and by 2019 I resigned myself to giving up my dream to teach creative writing at a U.S. university. With my sister's help, I picked up the pieces and packed up all my worldly things and drove back to Canada, feeling like a failure. Driving across the open prairie and the wide landscape of Saskatchewan, I was reminded of how vast the world is, how small I am in the midst of that vastness, and yet how I'm still a part of it. The wind and the hawk and the high clouds and blue skies care nothing, know nothing about my so-called failures. Looking out the window, I realized that I was still a human being, capable of wonder, capable of longing, capable of making it to my destination. Within me stirred once more the desire to write, not for anyone else, not to earn a position or validation, but simply for me. I spent the next 4 years in Saskatchewan. We saw blizzards and blazing heat. I helped my mother with a basement renovation and created my own office in the coolness of that space. We sheltered in place during the pandemic. We rebuilt after a torrential storm, overwhelmed the city's drains, and flooded most of the basements in our neighborhood. I lost a few hundred books in that flood. The basement was rebuilt. I rebuilt my own career as well during those years, teaching and mentoring writers online, connecting other writers together, and collaborating with composers on music projects and eventually opera. Out of the failure that drove me out of one country grew new opportunities in this one, new friendships, new chances to serve and help. Without the thorny path that brought me home, I would not have had the opportunity to serve as virtual writer in residence for the Saskatchewan Writers Guild, writer residence for the Regina Public Library, or give this keynote today. The void did not stay empty. Now I cannot imagine my life without that failure setting me down a new path. What can we make of failure? As I worked with various composers over the years who have set my text to music, or with whom I've collaborated to write new pieces and draft opera librettos, I've gained a deeper appreciation for how writing that I have sometimes cast aside as incomplete or broken, or somehow failed, or on the verge of failure, may in fact not be failures at all, just not in the right form. Perhaps I had thought I was writing a poem or an essay, but instead these fragments were instead the foundation of an art song, one where music and voice could do more than what I could accomplish on the page. The silences and gaps I could not bridge with words might instead require a different art to transform, to give them life. Perhaps the failure that is hardest to deal with is the failure of our own imagination to recognize that there is still life and wonder and mystery to be found in things we might be too quick to discard, or the failure to ask a deeper question, to push back against the easy line, the expected image, the turn or twist that is safe, and not dare ourselves to go further, bolder, wilder. Okay, we'll stop there and then we'll pick up, I think, the final section for next time. So, anyways, that was from What We Make of Failure. Oh, let's see. So, we are going to find someone to go raid. And I am going to call it a rather early evening tonight and get some decent sleep. I normally try to sleep in on Saturday mornings, but I had to be up extra early to run an errand at 8 a.m. And I was like, oh, I wanted to sleep for another 2 hours, but I didn't get it. So now I will try to get my extra sleep in tonight. And maybe a little bit tomorrow morning. We'll see. I still have stuff to do tomorrow. But... Okay, so who do we have available? We have QC Gaming, Sophisticat, new player, Pearl Bay, Lope Sniper doing Interloper survival run. Oh, there's Bloody Cactus. We could go support Bloody Cactus. Okay, let's hop over there. Bloody Cactus is doing the Signal Void challenge. We'll do that. Okay, let's head over there. Thank you for hanging out with me tonight. We will be back. Oh, the snaps did not work. Okay. I tried to introduce it and setting up a new browser element for that one. Oh, you heard them. Okay, so they did work. Okay, good. Yeah, I had. Good, perfect. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna head over there. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight, and I will be back possibly tomorrow night. We'll see.